Pero gusto ko rin sanang silipin no, yung nababanggit ni Senator Robin Padilla, yung line of questioning niya. Kasi parang ang gusto niya ipunto, hindi dapat tumetestigo ang isang kasong or ang isang tao na may kasong perjury. Meaning, hindi dapat tumetestigo ang isang nagsisinungaling. Ano ho ba talaga ang qualifications? Although sinabi, nilinaw naman ni Congresswoman Luistro na wala namang pending cases yung kanilang mga testigo. Pero ano ho ba nga ang qualifications for a witness?
So,
And when can they be disqualified?
So, prior conviction, no, prior cases na nahain sa iyo, in general, hindi nila inaapektuhan kung pwede ka maging testigo. Ang inaapektuhan lang nila ay kung gaano kalaki yung tiwalang ibibigay ng korte sa inyo bilang testigo. So, yung nabanggit, I think it was Senator Robin or may have been another senator na nabanggit kanina, na yung isa sa ways kung paano mo i-impeach, pahihinain yung kredibilidad ng testigo is to present evidence showing yung parang incapability niya for the truth or parang poor reputation for the truth. And potentially, perjury cases might be a good way to show that. Yung problema lang doon ay, I think as clarified by Congresswoman Luistro, walang pending case actually. And I think walang conviction against them. And alam naman natin na dahil lang kinasuhan ka, hindi ibig sabihin nun no, ay guilty ka na. Or dahil nakasuhan ka lang, hindi ibig sabihin nun na necessarily nag-commit ka ng perjury. So I thought medyo off yung tanong na yun kanina, especially because I think inaatake yung witnesses using documents, matters na hindi naman alam ng publiko. No? I think nabanggit to a few days ago, yung nakasuhan ng perjury si Attorney Lotoc, yung witness before Attorney Matibag, but hindi rin kasi kumagat or kumapit masyado yung allegations na yun.
And kasi after ni Senator Robin Padilla, si Senator Raffy Tulfo, Senator Judge Raffy Tulfo ay tumayo rin. At very interesting kasi yung, well, I mean, gaya ng sinabi ni Mark, parang ang pinunto niya, bakit hindi pantay yung ibinibigay ng oras? Parang he felt na pag sa minority senators, pinagbibigyan kapag mahaba, pero kapag sa kanilang nasa majority, malakas daw yung pagpindot sa bell. Pero very interesting what Presiding Officer Judge Chis Escudero said na walang majority-minority pagdating sa impeachment court.
And I absolutely agree. So, ang unang beses na bring up yung majority-minority was a few days ago. Si Senator Alan Cayetano yung nag-raise noon, yung konsepto ng minorya. Pero hindi kasi ito legislative, I mean, the Senate is a legislative body, but by tradition and practice natin, pagdating ng impeachment, dapat hindi kayo tumitingin na bahagi ako minorya, bahagi ako ng mayorya. Yun yung tradition natin sa impeachment. Ang tingin nila ay binibigyan sila ng napakalaking responsibilidad ng Constitution to act fairly and neutrally on this. And therefore, wala na, the same way na sa Supreme Court natin, walang majority at minority. Ganon din yung expectation natin for the Senate. And so parang yung Freudian slip in a way of the senators for the last few days na parang ang tingin pa rin nila sa majority-minority, baka time to abandon yung ganon na perspective. Now that said, siguro yung concept of a majority-minority and yung uneven time, nanggagaling din kasi doon sa fair observation na tendency ng current members of the Senate minority na sila yung masigasig magtanong sa witnesses. And I guess understandable kasi hindi naman nila tinatago din yung alliances nila or yung affinity nila for the Vice President. It doesn't mean na they will vote in her favor, but certainly as a default political alliance, di ba, bahagi naman sila ng partido ni VP Sara. So, yung questions on due process, usually, dapat abogado nagre-raise nun. Ang madalas na nagre-raise would be the minority senators. And I guess, para lang hindi na mabawasan, or para mabawasan na yung pagkakataon na atakihin yung proseso, hinahayaan din sila ng Senate ng a lot more leeway. Or the Senate leadership gives them a lot more leeway to ask questions they may have against the prosecution witnesses.
At Professor, bago nagtapos or bago nag-adjourn yung paglilitis sa araw na ito, may paalala si Presiding Officer Chis Escudero dun sa mga, well, both the prosecution and the defense, na although meron din siyang, meron din siyang paalala pati dun sa mga, well, I mean, everybody involved sa impeachment court. Pero basically, he's saying na yung spokespersons kasi ay registered as part of the panel, meaning the defense panel and the prosecution panel. So baka kailangan nilang magpalit. Because sabi niya, I will be watching and we will be monitoring and we will be listening.
Yes, sa Senate impeachment trial rules kasi, mayroong sub judice rule doon, if I'm not mistaken, Rule 18 nung Senate rules, parang prevent members of the Senate as well as members of both the prosecution and the defense panels to talk to the public about yung merits of the case. So of course, tali yung kamay nung members of the Senate and members of the Senate, members of the defense, members of the prosecution, in the sense na hindi sila pwede magpa-press con and try to win the case before the public outside of the impeachment theater, if you want to put it that way. All of that said, hindi naman debilitating, hindi naman nakakapilay yung problem na ito. Yung options ng prosecution and defense would be first, baka gusto nila kumuha ng spokesperson outside of the prosecution and the defense panels. Yung other alternative is i-withdraw nila yung spokesperson nila from the defense and the prosecution panels, which gives them a lot more leeway to talk about yung kaso. No? So either withdraw sila from the panel or get another spokesperson.
Well, dito po nagtatapos yung discussions, yung arguments, presentation of evidence for Article 4. Ano pong assessment ninyo, Attorney?
Look, in terms of meron bang ebidensya of the threat, whether that threat was serious, whether yung threat na iyon might rise to the level of character ng VP, I think may ebidensya naman. Now, that said, hindi pa tapos yung boxing, so to speak, on Article 4. Aantayin natin yung opportunity for the defense to also show yung witnesses nila which might try to show na una, hindi naman talaga seryoso yung threat. Or maybe yung investigation ng NBI was not really serious at political persecution siya. Or that may valid reasons for the Vice President to react in such a strong way. So, mahirap to say at this point kung sino yung nanalo over Article 4. Even I think yung senator judges hindi ganon kabakas kung sino yung may mga tao pa rin na hindi kasi nagsasalita during the interjection, so hindi natin ma-sense kung how they will vote for one or the other side. So matagal-tagal pa yung trial. I think papunta tayo now away from Article 4 to I think more important, more pressing article, which is Article 1 on the confidential funds. And I think doon yung makikita yung bunga nung subpoena na nakuha yesterday or 2 days ago.
Well, Professor Tamase, maraming salamat po for being with us this afternoon and helping us understand fully yung impeachment trial. Magpapasalamat po kami sa inyo, si Associate Dean ng UP College of Law, Attorney Paulo Tamase. Magandang hapon po, sir.
Maraming salamat din.
Thank you, sir. At mga kapuso, yan po ang special coverage ng GMA News sa Day 9 ng impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Patuloy po na tumutok sa live stream ng GMA News para sa iba pang update. Ako po si Pia Arcangel para sa The Vice President on Trial.